Alright, here we have an update to Washington Avenue number 2 in Terre, Haute, Indiana on the INRD Holman Street lead, also called the Old Main. Since my last video here, I did a video here because they put in some brand new crossbucks. You can see they're still pretty new. But since my last video, this crossing has since become abandoned. It's kind of a waste of the new crossbucks. The only reason they put them in is because you can see they redid the road. So they had to put in new crossbucks. I don't know why they couldn't just reuse the old ones. Here's the emergency information from INRD. Milepost 179.69, that's the milepost of the Chicago sub, which is what this connects to. And then you got the yield sign and crossbuck right here. And then over there, you got the same thing. But right here we can see that they've abandoned this crossing because, so at the end of the track, they had this concrete block to mark the end. Because for some reason on a lot of INRD tracks, they mark the end of the track instead of with a normal bumper, they put a concrete block. And it used to be down there. So where the gravel ends is where the Holman Street lead ended. Continuing back there with the dirt, it used to continue, not in INRD's time, or at least recent times. It used to continue as the main, that's why it's also called the Old Main. But during this line's time as the Holman Street lead, it ended there at the gravel area, where the gravel ends. And that's where this concrete block was. They've moved it beyond the crossing right here. And they've also added, this sign has been here for about a month now. Right here. It's just a red sign. So this marks the end of the active track. The active track goes down here. Down there you got Holman Street number 2. And down there you can see there's hoppers, that's Holman Street Yard. And so the reason this is active is so that whenever they're switching at Holman Street Yard, they have headroom. I don't even think they ever come up this far, even for headroom, because I've never even seen them cross Holman Street before down there, and that's right next to the end of the yard. But it's probably a smart choice for them to keep this part for that, because you never know if there's ever going to be industry growth, or if they just happen to have a lot of cars they need to switch over there. So this is what it looks like now, and I'll walk over to the other side in a minute. But yeah, this is the current end of the track technically. Now they haven't ripped it up in the crossing yet, similar to over at Prairieton Road on the Terre Haute industrial track, which I made a video on a couple weeks ago where they're ripping that up too. I think the reason why for both of those is because the city or whoever maintains the streets will have to come out and tear them out and put in their own. They're going to have to redo the entire road. Well, not the entire road, but at least the segment of road that crosses the tracks. So currently they've cut it to just before the road. Before I get over there, there's a couple things. That's the CSX INRD sub, which is highly active. I have videos of that crossing. So here's this side of the crossing here. I've never seen a train here either, by the way. So here's the emergency information and yield sign and crossbuck. If I had to guess, they'll remove these as well as this, unfortunately, as well as the signals at Prairieton Road on the other line that I showed, whenever they get the tracks in the crossing torn out. But they're probably legally required to keep them as long as there's a crossing still there technically. And since there technically is a crossing, they are leaving them there. Here's the rails that they've removed, just laying over here. INRD recently, I've really noticed they're removing a lot of like any bits of abandoned or at least unused trackage that they can find, similar to CSX. There's been a lot of tracks being removed, especially in the Terre Haute areas where they're really getting rid of some stuff. And this is one of those small little segments, but just a bit of rail like this means a lot of scrap money, which is surely why they're removing it all. That's why CSX is removing a lot of their stuff. So yeah, but that's all the stuff they're going to be getting rid of. And right here we can see the new gravel, and right here is where the tracks were. So you can see they've cut it right there and right here. Here's what that looks like. That's looking south, by the way. This goes towards Spring Hill, where it meets the INRD sub for CSX and the INRD Chicago sub. And then down here, that's where it used to go. So here's what that looks like. And this is the new gravel area. And there's where it once ended. So yeah, this is just a update to Washington Avenue number 2 in Terre Haute, Indiana. Thanks for watching. Over and out.